Should old acquaintance be forgot? Do you remember the Christmas time movie, It's a Wonderful Life? The villain in that movie said to the hero, "You're worth more dead than alive." Let's talk about that. Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents channel. My name is Jesse Durham. This is another installment of our quote series where we're going to evaluate a famous quote, and we're going to do so with an infinite banking lens for some takeaways. So what I'd like to reference is one of our favorite family Christmas time movies, It's a Wonderful Life. If you haven't read it, I encourage you to watch it. It's a lot of fun. But perhaps regardless, you've heard the saying, worth more dead than alive. Now, I think that has a lot to do with someone who talks about life insurance a good bit like I do. And I'd like to point out that if you're vetting this idea of becoming your own banker, and if you're a client, it's good to know the death benefit significance of owning a properly structured whole life policy with a mutual company that pays dividends. But also, and preferably, we focus on the living benefits of a properly structured whole life policy with a mutual company. So in that movie, the hero of the movie has a life insurance policy, and it's worth so much for a death benefit, of course, and he was trying to use that asset because it's a private asset. He was trying to use that asset for business purposes at that time, borrowing purposes at that time, actually. Very interesting point right there. So private held asset, leveraging that to access capital, but through someone else. So again, here, let's talk about this kind of stuff. So I personally cannot have too much death benefit. I'd like more than I have, plan to get more than I have, and I've got a good bit because we are purchasers of whole life policies ourselves as consumers. We buy whole life insurance. Now, professionally, of course, we write policies for the banking purpose with mutual life insurance companies that have high cash value, and those companies pay dividends, so that we can use these types of assets as entities for privatizing our banking. So as a household, as a business, as an investor, banking's just a function. You need to recognize that. Banking just is. It exists. And either somebody else is doing it for you and profiting off of it thereby, and you're doing it on their terms and conditions, etc. Or you could do it for yourself by owning these types of policies. Now that policy in that movie, of course, it wouldn't have been written for a high cash value. And that's why there was that saying and that sentiment in the movie at that time of being worth more dead than alive. And that's just financially speaking. And of course, the movie goes on to talk about all other kinds of neat things. It's a great movie. Again, like I say, watch it. Have a lot of fun with that. But the whole point in having properly structured policies is so that we can enjoy the living, so that today, this year, me and my family, so that the vacations that we take, any business endeavors that we pursue, the things that we do as a household, cars, mortgages, all those types of things, that we can do that for ourselves so that we can see a return of capital. We can see a return of principal. We can see, unlike the average American that's bleeding out interest dollars to the tune of 34.5 cents per dollar, that interest can stay in the family so that we wouldn't get to a point of feeling worth more dead than alive. And we can enjoy these living benefits. So I think historically, that was a black and white movie. Historically, I think it's really interesting that there's this black and white movie showing that a policy has value, it has worth. It's really interesting. And yet that's the ultimate vehicle that I'm aware of today. It's the ultimate privately owned appreciating asset where you can compound money your whole life and you can access capital guaranteed contractually today so that you don't feel worth more dead than alive. And Nash would say what his contribution was, because life insurance is older than America, older than the automobile, older than manned flight. And I've been on airplanes and I drive cars, etc. Okay, are you with me? So Nash said what his contribution was by codifying and discovering this infinite banking concept. Yeah, life insurance had already existed, and folks had bought life insurance and left behind tax-free wealth through a death benefit to heirs and beneficiaries. And yes, they'd even leveraged policies before. That was not new. What Nash brought to the table was the banking function and adding scale to those examples that we do get to hear about, the Disneys, the Rockefellers, etc. He brought scale. He brought a codified system, method to unlocking the infinite banking concept using these appreciating assets. Because what he said was your need of finance is greater than your need of protection, greater than your need of a death benefit. It's going to come with those things. A death benefit. It's going to come with that. It's whole life insurance. But if we would account for our need of finance, we'll ultimately end up with more death benefit than we could have been underwritten for in the first place. So we can have high cash value today that we can use, leverage, and access, and grow and compound our net worth, our cash values, that death benefit, all of it into the future as well. So never feel that you're worth more dead than alive in any respect. And if you'd like to have a conversation about how to implement the infinite banking concept into your household or your business or your investing, then you can reach us at 828-817-4223, or you can email durhamtalents@gmail.com. This has been a great pleasure for me. Look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day. Take care. How did I do, Clarence? Thanks. If you've seen the movie, you get that reference.